Hello everyone, so I've got a review for you today of a brand new, just released, or releasing this week actually, test scent line of candles from Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Co. As you can see here by the names, or as you may have heard already, it is an Italian or Italy-based, or rather inspired collection of test scents. Right now they're just heading into all of the White Barn Candle Co. test stores, but I believe there are most likely plans for at least some of them, if not all of them, to release nationwide sometime probably in, I'm thinking maybe March or maybe April at the latest. So right now there are, as you can see, 7 scents. I believe there are also plans to bring out 2 more within the next, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks. But of course, with Bath & Body Works and White Barn, that's always subject to change. They can make changes pretty quickly as far as what they are or are not going to release. But we've got a good group of 7 here that I want to get into for a full review for you. Let me just get right into it, since this will probably be somewhat of a long video, so dig in and plan to watch, or maybe take a break and come back if you don't like the long videos, but clearly with 7 brand new scents, there's a lot to talk about here. So, we've seen with the test lines, they had the Eucalyptus Mint inspired test line that seems like it's going to be coming back for round 2. Over the years, they've had aromatherapy test lines. The Forest collection was the most recent big test collection that came out and didn't do anything really in the fall. And other small little additions to other lines that you know of along the way. There were test scents from the fall. Pretty much every season there are test scents, as most of you already know. And so this line is based on, or inspired by, Italy. They've done a lot of, they did the Around the World collection. They did the Forest collection, which is just based on, obviously, woody things, the Allegheny National Forest, with much more natural plants and herbs from there. And they did a lot of Paris candles. They've done a ton of Paris candles, I think 3 different mini collections, so 3 groups of 3 over the past about year and a half or so. So this is the first time they're sort of making a transition away from France over to Italy. And some of these are direct inspirations, and other things are a little bit more the conceptual blends that are sometimes interesting. So let's give just a quick overview, and then I will dive into notes, descriptions, and my impressions of them. So we've got here, first up, Pizzeria. So you see these are all Bath & Body Works candles. There's no White Barn, no Slack & Co. They've got the silver lids, Bath & Body Works. And these labels, sorry to go back here, but these labels, to me, they're most reminiscent of maybe the fall Slack & Co. Labels from this past fall, like the Apple Crumble, whatever that collection of candles was, where it's just like, a square, sort of a matte, like a matte print of a photo of a real object or scene, and then of course the white label, or the white candle name, excuse me, on top of it. So overall, I really enjoy them. So first is Pizzeria, which, let's get that. It's a little hard here. I know it's very, very bright in here. So that's Pizzeria. Then we've got Limoncello and Gelato. You like my horrible accent? Espresso Bar, Sicilian Orange, which is interesting, Tuscan Herbs, and finally Bellini Cafe. So I'll tell you my overall impression. I think this line is interesting. I love that they're really trying something here for a really cohesive collection. It's a little hit or miss for me when all is said and done, and obviously I'll get into that. There are 2 or 3 that I really love. There are none that I hate, but some of them are a little dull, or sort of seem to be almost repackages of past scents, or slightly reformulated and repackaged scents of past collections, or of past candles. So in that sense, I was a little disappointed with some of this, because with a big test line, they really could try anything and really go out there with brand new formulations, but they didn't in every case. With a few of them they did, but not in every case. So first up, let's dive in to Pizzeria. Again, I'm trying to get a better close-up for you. So they could have gone really cheesy and put a pizza on there, a big slice or something, But it's kind of classy if a pizzeria candle can be considered classy. It's really just kind of silver. It almost looks black and white. A silver rolling pin rolling out the dough. Pizzeria. Bath & Body Works scented candle. And remember, this is pizzeria, not pizza, so it's not necessarily going to smell like a slice of pizza. There are actually no cheese notes in here, and it doesn't smell anything like a slice of pizza. It's pizzeria, so it's more about the feeling that is evoked when you're in a pizzeria, you know, an old classic. Now the label here, it looks like whatever machine they used to put these on just left off the sticker backing, left it on there. But the notes on it, the official description rather, is pizza, one of Italy's greatest gifts to the world, is celebrated in this fragrant blend of cracked black pepper, basil, tomato sauce, and warm crusty dough. So we've got that, and then so we've got the description, then also the official notes that are more like the internal notes that the reps have. On that one would be crushed oregano, black pepper, tomato sauce, garden basil, garlic, and warm crusty pizza dough. So not noted on the label would be the oregano. I think that's it, the oregano and the garlic. And smelling this, it's surprisingly incredibly good. I really didn't know what to expect, but I kind of love it. And I'll tell you right off the bat, it's in my top 2 of this entire collection of 7 candles. So I did not expect that at all. It is very much, you get some of the dough. It's sort of like, I mean, what they're saying is kind of actually accurate. It's the crusty dough. You're smelling a lot of dough, like a baked dough, and the herbs that are sprinkled on it. So I get a very, very heavy sort of like rubbed, powdered oregano. Very heavy on that. Definitely a little bit of the black pepper, even almost like the red pepper flakes. Like, it kind of smells like if you're in a pizza place waiting for your slice, and these are the scents that you would smell in there. So there's a little bit of like a sweet tomato somewhere underneath there, but it also, the picture I get in my head is of the like the shakers. Like, there's the shaker of the Parmesan cheese and the shaker of usually like the garlic, salt, and dried oregano, and there's a shaker of the red pepper flakes. That's more what I get here, along with a baked crust. In that sense, it smells totally realistic. In a similar way to like French baguette, no one expected it to smell good, and because it was so accurate and true to life, people really loved it. Same thing with this one. There's a little hint of sort of like, it leans a little bit towards like junk food product, like if there was like a pizza flavored potato chip or a Dorito or corn chips that were pizza flavoring, whatever, you know, that sort of generic term of pizza flavored would be in the junk food or snack world. It does lean a little bit towards that, but I kind of forgive that because it is very heavy on the oregano, and to get oregano in a candle is pretty unique and rare. Obviously, you know, Bath & Body Works hasn't had anything with oregano in it, and so for that alone, I really like it. I don't know what it'll be like, you know, burning it. Kind of strange maybe, but right now, I'm loving that one. Surprise, surprise. So let's move on to Limoncello. So Limoncello is an alcoholic beverage that is fairly popular. It's, you know, sort of a fizzy, I think it's fizzy. Maybe I'm confusing with Prosecco. But anyway, it's a sweet liqueur, like a lemon liqueur. So in this, I expect it to be a little bit of sort of the drink, sort of weird effervescence you can get with some candles. And of course the lemon, but with a little more of maybe a sort of like the creme pear Bellini kind of, I don't know, effervescence to it, or like almost like a champagne or some sort of liqueur back note to it is what I was expecting. Now the notes, or the description on it, raise your glass to this fragrance inspired by Italy's beloved drink limoncello with its notes of Sorrento lemons, cane sugar, and a hint of lemon zest. So they're just saying lemon, lemon, and sugar. And the official notes that are included on that one are lemon pucker, grapefruit, white nectarine, limoncello, red raspberry, lemon sugar, and musk. Now smelling this, it's a little generic. I failed to show you, so it's kind of a creamy yellow, not a very bright, but like a creamy yellow wax, and then it's just a basket of lemons that say, I guess, limoni on there, like at a farmer's market or something. So it is sort of a creamy lemon, and really to me, immediately when I smelled it, I was thinking lemon gelato from the Boardwalk collection, the original Boardwalk collection 2 years ago. That's this here, if you all remember. And that one was just supposed to be lemon, citrus, and creamy vanilla meringue. Now, it's not exactly that. It's got a little more of a zest or punch to it. But then, thinking that, then it brings you to think fresh lemon, which is Chinese orange blossom, sparkling lemon, exotic palm leaf, and rich vanilla cream. So that's sort of the sparkling side of the limoncello. But it's not quite so like fresh kitchen, cleaner lemon as that. It's a little bit more complex in the sense of it's not the bright lemon. So I really kind of see it almost kind of as a combination of fresh lemon and lemon gelato. So it's a nice scent. As far as lemon scents go, it's not overly artificial. It's not overly sweet candy, like a lemon head or something like that, but it doesn't smell like I would expect the drink to smell like. So it's a little bit generic as far as that goes. So not loving that one. Either could do without it, or I wish they would have spent a little more time blending that one than they seem to have. And next we've got Sicilian Orange. Now I was excited to see orange because we haven't really seen many orange candles from Slacken or Bath & Body Works at all. They had, there was some sort of orange, I don't know if it was orange blossom or, I cannot remember. I know that I didn't purchase it. Orange sunrise or orange sunset, something. Someone comment below to remind me, please. From, I think it was 2011. It was an orange candle. That was okay, but it was kind of, again, basic. I really love the color of this wax. It's sort of a pastel, kind of muted orange. It's not day glow. And then the label, they really matched the color of the label. They must have photoshopped this or something, because the color of the label, it's an orange, like stone building. I guess a home or something with oranges growing in the... Well, oranges grow on trees, so I don't know why there are oranges on their window boxes there. But the color of the wax and the color on the label here match perfectly, so that's kind of nice. And it really is a pretty photograph. Whether it's a stock photo or whatever, it's still... I think it's kind of pretty and classy looking. The notes on it are sun-drenched Italian groves grow the sweetest and juiciest oranges that inspired, so not contained, but inspired, this glamorous citrusy blend of orange, Sicilian bergamot, sun-kissed lilies, and mandarin blossoms. So that sounds fairly floral. So we've got a blend, there's orange, bergamot, which is a bitter orange, lilies, and mandarin blossoms. So blossoms from an orange tree, but mandarin blossoms are not exactly, it's not the juicy fruit. It's more the blossom, an orange blossom. And so smelling this, it's kind of light. I expected it to have a little bit more of a kick to it, or maybe even more of a floral. I mean, orange blossom I love, so I assumed mandarin blossom would be along those same lines. It's nice. It's not offensive. It's not fake. It's just very light. Luckily it doesn't have a whole lot of vanilla to it, so it's not really like the dreamsicle kind of orange, which I know a lot of people would like, but it wouldn't fit the bill of Sicilian orange. The internal notes are blood orange, Sicilian bergamot, peach leaves, lilies, mandarin blossom, peony, osmanthus, white woods, vanilla, and raspberry musk. Now, that's a lot going on. I get a little bit of some of those. I just wish it was more unique. Something to make it seem either more realistic, more authentic, more Sicilian. I was comparing it in my head to Yankee actually released a World Journeys Sicilian Orange scent as well. And they've got some of the same, the images on there, and they're trying to be, pure natural extracts. Now when I smell that, if anyone's familiar, that one is a much more true-to-life, authentic scent. It almost smells like you've cut into an orange. It's a little bit fragrant, a little more to it than just the scent of orange, but it's still got that sort of clean, authentic orange juice note to it, or orange essential oils, whereas this one is pretty light. It's a little bit of the vanilla to it, tiny bit of floral, but really, quite honestly, it's a fairly light scent. It smells like something that they could throw in as like a pocket back or a soap that would be kind of, again, not offensive, but nobody's favorite. So, to be entirely honest, I am a bit disappointed in that. I will burn it, I'll probably enjoy the scent, but it really could have been so much more than I think what it was. Now we'll go to the right here, away from the citrus ones. Move on to Espresso Bar. So there's a bit of a history with Bath & Body Works releasing candles with what are supposed to be coffee names or coffee notes, and there really not being any coffee in them. We had the two most notable, of course, are Cafe au Lait, which had no real coffee scent, just a creamy, milky scent. And of course, Pumpkin Caramel Latte, which, again, didn't really have pumpkin and didn't really have coffee in it. It was more of a milky, caramel, frothy beverage. So it smelled nice, but it wasn't a coffee scent. And tons of other wax companies and fragrance companies release coffee scents, so it's kind of surprising that they haven't done one that was more pure than that. And so I suppose this is their time for doing that. So it says Espresso Bar, and it's just a close-up. Again, I know it's very sunny here, but that is a small ceramic cup with espresso flowing into it. And then I think that's just like the metal, basically a drip tray on an espresso machine or something. A very dark, like chocolatey black espresso wax. And the description, in Italy you never take your coffee to go, instead you stop and savor the aromas of roasted espresso beans and sweet vanilla froth that inspired this fragrance. So again, they're going with the whole, this giving you notes that inspired it that aren't exactly the perfect thing of what you're smelling. So now before I dive into it, the notes that they also say, actually what I have here is just roasted espresso bean and vanilla froth. So smelling this, it is an espresso scent. So they finally put coffee in their coffee candle. It smells a little artificial, sort of like a coffee flavoring or coffee candy, I guess. There's a bit of vanilla to it. It's not bitter really, but so there's some vanilla, but it's not sweet. It's really not a sweet vanilla froth the way you would think of their other, cafe-inspired beverages or drink candles. To me, it smells more of like, I remember when I was younger, there used to be more of these. I haven't seen them so much more recently, but so it would be places where you could go to buy coffee. They weren't really coffee shops. It was more of them selling the coffee beans, and they would grind them for you there. And they had walls and walls of flavored, some artificial, some naturally flavored coffee beans and espresso beans. So there was, of course, your vanilla, your French vanilla, your hazelnut, your whatever the various scents are that almond that you would get in these espresso and coffee beans. It kind of smells like that store smelled. So they're correct in saying espresso bar. They're not calling this a cappuccino or something. They're not calling it a macchiato. So it's a little astringent or hard hitting. Which I think is sort of where the artificiality comes from. But there's a little bit of vanilla. I don't hate it. To me, it smells sort of what they say it is, espresso bar. It's probably hard to get a coffee or an espresso scent that really fits the bill for everyone, because everyone, think about it, when someone goes to a coffee shop, there are a million different ways and modifications that people make to their drinks, so no one's ever really going to be satisfied by any one blend of coffee and espresso and milk and sweetener and all that. So it's a little cheap kind of smelling to me, but I'm holding judgment on that one until I smell it melted. It may really sort of open up and warm up and be a nice coffee scent. If anything, it could be used for layering. So moving on. We get Bellini Cafe. This is the one where you hear Pizzeria, you hear Sicilian Orange, Limoncello, Espresso Bar, whatever. You have an idea in your head of what you're going to smell. Bellini Cafe, I really have had and really still have no idea. As far as Bellini candles, we've had Cranberry Pear Bellini, we've had Peach Bellini, which of course a Bellini is just, generally you're taking, I guess Prosecco, I think, or some sort of sparkling wine and adding a juice or a fruit nectar to it. Peach Bellini, of course, usually a peach nectar or a peach concentrate or peach liqueur to Prosecco or a sparkling white wine or champagne along those lines, similar to, of course, a mimosa with orange juice. So that's Bellini, and I love Cranberry Pear Bellini. I like Peach Bellini. Bellini Cafe, again, it's hard to say what they're really truly going for here. It's a white wax. It's just the image of a cafe. So sort of like Espresso Bar, it is the place, not so much a particular Bellini, according to what they're showing us here. Now the notes on it, at the bottom, it says, the Italian love The Italian love of life is captured in a blend of sparkling berries, juicy apple, and sugared grape notes. Bellissimo. So we hear sparkling berries, great sugared fruit of any kind, and I instantly start to think of pink sangria, something along those lines, because they've got the sugared berries or sugared grapes or fruit, fresh fruit, sort of sparkling effervescence in there. But then they threw an apple, and the other notes that they list for Bellini Cafe include red wine berries, sparkling wild strawberry, Fuji apples, sugared grapes, and oak. So that's an interesting one thrown in there. Now when I smell it, I do get some effervescence. It's sort of, if you like creme Bellini and peach Bellini, you'll like this. I like this. I'm not in love with it. It's nothing, again, I hate to say it, but it's nothing truly special or exciting. When I smell this, I don't know. I was a little disappointed. I definitely do get sort of the sweet fruits, the sparkling, the sugared. Obviously, they're talking, a bright, sweet, juicy, sugary, effervescent notes is what they're going here. And the juicy apple, I don't get a lot of apple thrown in there. It's sort of like, it's similar to the cranberry pear Bellini, not as bright, intense, and you can't really pick out the specific fruits. And it almost reminds me of a test scent from a couple of years ago that definitely did not make it wide. And I think this is what I'm thinking. It was called, Pomegranate Passion, and it was actually, it was Pomegranate Passion and Mango Margarita. They came out in candle form at the same time that they were in hand soap. So in most stores nationwide, there was the Mango Margarita hand soap, there was the Pomegranate Passion. It was out the same time as like Citrus Crush, and it had, the Pomegranate Passion was pink, there was the sort of the yellowish Mango Margarita. The Citrus Crush was, of course, just like a greenish color, but they were really nice scents, and I really loved the Pomegranate Passion. And it smelled a lot like this. So I don't know if I'm getting pomegranate in here or a little bit of sort of that sweetness, just the sweetness with some effervescence. So it's not bad, but like Sicilian Orange and like Limoncello, I wish they would just have done a little more with it. I want it to be a little more intense, or a little more obvious as to what we're sniffing in there. It's kind of one of those things where it feels like they had a blend that they liked or that tested well when they did blind testings, and they're just sort of throwing the marketing on it. I get that what they do is marketing. Obviously, that's where everything is stemming from when they create these. They're not doing it just for the love of, fragrance. But I wish there was more thought behind it. I wish that they came up with the name and the line and then said, let's develop a scent to match that. Whereas this, it seems like they went through sort of their collection of blends and said, oh, this will work, what should we call it? Okay, it's sort of a Bellini mix, let's call it Bellini Cafe. As opposed to creating something from scratch to match the ideas. So it's more like they've got the scents and they just throw on the marketing that fits good enough, as opposed to coming up with the idea from the other direction and then making the blend or the candle to meet that standard. So again, that's just what I'm guessing from that and from sort of their other marketing they've done for other scents over the past year or so, but that's what it seems like, and I wish they would sort of rethink how they go about how they do that. So anyhow, back to what we're the issue at hand here. Next up is Gelato, and of course this is just the image of an ice cream shop with someone serving up gelato, which, of course, gelato, most folks know, it is essentially ice cream, but it has a much higher percentage of milk fat in it. I believe for something to be ice cream, it's, I think, generally around 12% milk fat, and gelato, I want to say, is 18%. I'm pulling those numbers out of my head, but I think I remember reading something like that a few years ago. So the description they give is, a creamy sweet blend of raspberry and strawberry with an effervescent spun sugar finish becomes the perfect fragrance indulgence. Bravo, bravo. Now, this is already confusing me. Again, not to rant, but so gelato, a creamy, heavy, really truly, like they say, indulgent ice cream. Okay, there can be strawberry or raspberry ice creams. That's not unheard of. It's not the most common, gelato flavor. That's fine. But to then say creamy sweet blend, fine, but with an effervescent spun sugar finish, really doesn't make sense. Like, effervescent is beverage. Spun sugar is like a super candy or almost like a cotton candy sort of note. So it doesn't make sense to me that you would do something that's, gelato is thick, creamy, heavy. It's not effervescent, and it's not a light spun sugar, so that makes no sense to me. And then the additional notes that they add for gelato are lemon candy, strawberry, raspberry, pink grapefruit, nougat, jasmine, vanilla ice cream, sandalwood, and musk. So it's kind of like a whole mess of notes here. And let me get a sniff. It's a very nice light pink wax, so it's certainly a pretty candle. And when I smell it, it's just so unimpressive. It's really disappointing. To me, when I smelled this instantly, I thought sweet macaron from the French collection, or from the Paris collection from the summer that was café au lait, French baguette, and sweet macaron, which was heavy on the raspberry. It's not a repackage of that, but it's very similar. It also reminds me a little bit of raspberry sun tea, so it's definitely, you're getting raspberry. The store that I went to for these actually had some leftover sweet macaron candles, surprisingly enough, on their $8 shelf in the back, and I compared it, and sweet macaron was actually much stronger, more intense with the raspberry and whatever other berries were in it. So this is perhaps a little lighter, maybe a little creamier, as opposed to sweet macaron that was more of just the intense sugar sweetness. But it doesn't smell like ice cream or gelato. Again, yeah, spun sugar. I almost do get sort of a little bit of effervescence, maybe. But no, I think I'm just getting that because I'm reading it. I don't really truly get that the way that I did on the Bellini candle. So it's kind of like just a sweet tart, sort of dry, kind of sugary raspberry scent. I'm super disappointed in that one. If I wasn't doing the reviews for you guys and trying to get full collections and the excitement of all that, I probably would have passed on this one if I just came across it in the regular stores. It's just, again, it might light and be really lovely and a nice scent and not just a cheap raspberry, but I kind of could pass on it. I think it's a little misguided. Not unlike the ice cream shop from the Boardwalk collection last summer. That was another one that was supposed to be ice cream, but when it came down to it, it was very much like other notes that just didn't really make it ice cream. So I don't know what their deal is. They have a tough time with ice cream and coffee scents. And then we save, no surprise for my regular viewers, in my opinion, the best for last. So we've got Tuscan Herbs. I'm a huge fan of anything herbal, aromatherapy, those kind of things. That's why I love the Forest collection. Anything with any sort of, really any herb, greenery, certain florals like a lavender or bergamot and orange blossoms and things I truly love. So this is Tuscan Herbs. It's a nice light green wax. The image here, it looks like, I don't know, it almost looks like I would say like a cemetery or something from the outside, or maybe it's a mansion. It's the long driveway up to a huge Tuscan home on the hillside. The notes on this one are aromatic herbs from the sun-drenched soil of Tuscany inspired this fragrance that blends fresh basil, parsley, and garden greens. So, Tuscan herbs, parsley is not, that's kind of a basic green for me. I'm not really loving parsley, but I do love basil. The other notes that they give us on this one are basil leaves, lemon, lime juice, apple, parsley, and musk applewood. So let's sniff it. Oh, I really love this. This is one of my favorite candles they've done in a long time. It is very heavy. It's like 75% pure Genovese basil, like almost a spicy basil, like a very intense, not like a sweet basil. I think they've thrown basil notes in a few other candles they've done. But it's usually a sweet basil that's not even truly basil, or like when they had sage cucumber and there really wasn't that much true aromatic sage in it. This is extremely heavy on the basil. It could have been called Tuscan basil, not even Tuscan herbs. There are, I suppose, some other green notes in there to make it even more green, if possible. I don't particularly get parsley. Maybe a little bit of thyme or something, but there's certainly no rosemary. Not a lot of other herbs. Maybe they're saying? I suppose there could be just a hint of a background of a little bit of citrus to sort of layer it and make it, more interesting than just straight up basil. What else? The lime. Yeah, I don't know about lime. I'm not getting any sort of musky, oaky, applewoody, anything like that. Very much basil, basil, basil with some other lovely green background notes and herbs. So I love that one. I actually bought 2 of them just in case they didn't go wide. So overall, a very interesting line. A bit of a disappointment, if I'm being completely honest. I think they should have done much more to this as opposed to just sort of, throwing it together in the way that they have. I'm sure they did a lot of research and a lot of pre-market testing, but I don't know. So Pizzeria, I love because it's so incredibly unique. Tuscan Herbs, I love because it's finally a true, strong herbal basil. Espresso Bar is okay. Bellini Cafe is nice, but you've had it with other, Bath & Body Works candles. And then Sicilian Orange, Limoncello, and Gelato, they're kind of all misses for me. The orange, I don't think it's nearly strong enough. The Gelato is not Gelato. It's an okay raspberry scent, but we've seen it before, and I don't particularly enjoy it. And the Limoncello, again, it's just sort of any other lemon scent that they just said, oh, we have a lemon scent in our fragrance line, let's throw limoncello on it. I feel like that's what they did with at least half of these. Was they had existing blends that we may or may not have seen before that they've come up with in their fragrance, I don't know what they actually call it. It's not their fragrance house. They're not like a true perfumery, but in their testing labs, their scents, and I feel like they just said, oh, this will work for this. So it's like their marketing and their creation of the scents are not exactly aligned, in my opinion. So a little bummed out in that sense. But there are 2 more that are supposed to come out. I believe there's a bergamot and then just a sweet one, like a dolce or something. So we'll see what happens with those. I would assume this probably will go wide, maybe just some of them instead of all 7 to 9, maybe just 5 of them will go wide. And hopefully Pizzeria and Tuscan Herbs will be part of that. Again, they're in test stores now. If you want to check them out, please go for it. If you want me to answer anything or do anything more in-depth than I already have with these, please let me know. But I need to wrap this up here because I know that you folks don't love the super long videos. So as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, hit me up. And until next time, take care.